Joe, 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 we're back at it again, man. It feels like every time you turn around, it's Tuesday and
Another
we are live.
another Tuesday, the best show on Tuesday night, guys.
It just
Check it out every Tuesday.
does that go without saying, Joe, that it's the best show on Tuesday, or is it one of those things that if we just keep telling ourselves that
No,
it
we
will be
are
true?
literally the no, we're literally the best show. We have we have a fun time. We talk grass, we sit back, we have fun. But we're not all about grass. That's what I love about this show.
That's what's fun. I mean, that really is when we talked about this in the beginning. We said, look, we're only doing this if we're not going to talk about grass for the entire time. As much as I like talking about lawn care and grass, I can't do it for the entire time. So that was one of our non-negotiables, right, Joe?
That was high on my list at least. Yeah.
Well, hey,
We'll say that.
we got John here. John, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. Hey, again, hey, I want to give Kyle a shout out for the Pre-Scalp tunes. This was a little beat he put together and sent over to me, and want me to be one of the first people to use some of his instrumental music that he likes putting together for fun. So we've adopted this first song, Siesta Fiesta, as our Pre-Scalp. What do you say? It's our anthem. Is that what we said last time?
Yeah, it's our anthem.
Long time Wyatt, man, that is Kevin, my man. That is one of my favorite things about sports call-in shows. And they're like,
Yeah.
hey, long time listener, first time caller.
Oh,
I love that. That's so fun right there. Long time watcher.
Have you ever called into a sports radio before?
No, I've called into some like afternoon shows before, but no, I've never done the sports calling stuff.
I have one time, and I did it. I'll be guilty. I said first time, long time.
Yeah, because you had heard it
It's
so
like,
many times, you just thought, well, I guess that's what I have to do.
yeah, it's a rite of passage. You got to say it.
Hey, thanks
But
thanks everybody for coming in tonight. We've got some folks in the chat. We've got lots of good stuff planned, Joe. Lawn care stuff for all the people that want to hear about lawn stuff. We've got it. Don't worry. We've got it. It's coming. What were you about to say, Joe? You were about to say something.
no, I was reading. I was reading a comment. It's been a
Gotcha.
long day. It's been a long day. I just got back a couple hours ago from coach pitch. It was yeah.
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. It's been a long.
It was a long hour. I should say that.
It has been a long day, and man, like I've had to kind of talk myself up for this show. Some nights you're kind of already feeling it, and we're on spring break right now, and I'm kind of out of my typical rhythm, not in school. So this whole day has not been the regular routine that I'm used to. So it's hard for me to find my groove right now. But we're not to mention I had to have the air compressor replaced in my wife's car this morning, so that wasn't fun swiping the card for that one. But summer's around the corner, and there's no way her and the kids are going through the summer without an AC in the rig. So it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. Car trouble. It's a bitch.
It's to say the least. But it's fixed.
Yeah.
It's fixed, and it's just, you know. I
Yeah.
had a friend that always said, "Money's just paper. If you don't spend it, it's just paper. It's just money." Sometimes it's a necessary evil to spend it to get what you have to get in life. Hey, Joe, we're
Yep.
under a minute here. What's up, Super TA, John, Kevin in the chat? Hey, we appreciate y'all being here. Y'all been faithful to us so far. We're looking for a good turnout tonight. If you're not telling your friends about this already, you know, the live streams in the YouTube lawn care space are becoming a lot more frequent. The competition out there is growing. So tell your friends
Frequent.
if they're not part of this already.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Joe?
I said frequent is yeah, it's a good one.
Frequent is a good one. You know, we tried
It's
to
like it,
we tried to pick a time that nobody else was really doing one, Joe. I think Tuesday night was a
yeah,
pretty good time.
yeah. It's like happy days, Monday, Tuesday, happy days. It's like every day. It's
Here we go, Joe. We're on,
we're
baby.
on. Here
It
we
is
go.
time. And guess what, Joe? We are not the program with no name anymore. We are the Budget Wooders Show. How about that, Joe? Hey, big props to you on this logo. That turned out pretty sweet.
Raining money.
We are the Budget Wooders Show. And I want to know from folks in the chat, somebody, Joe, do you remember who that was that kept recommending that every single week? I want to be reminded. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank. John, was that you? It seems like it was somebody that was in the chat every single week that was recommending the Budget Wooders Show. And speaking of It's Just Money, Super TA.
Super TA. Come on, man. You're too kind.
That's
South Jersey in them.
You are too much, dude. Appreciate that. John, for some reason, I kept thinking, it's John. My dad's name is John. But I didn't want to accidentally say it was you and be wrong and not be given the credit where credit is due. But we're right, Joe. It was John. So, John, major kudos to you for picking the show name. Joe came up with the logo this past week, and I thought, you know what? It just fits it all around. So, if this is your first time watching the Budget Wooders Show, whether you're live or on the replay, we're here every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central, to talk a wide range of things. But if you're here because you love lawn care and grass, tonight, Joe, we've got some good, lengthier stuff in line when it comes to lawn care discussions. But I know we can't start off a show without you giving us some little nugget of information, right?
Yeah, so back in 2006 on today, March 21st, 2006, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey sent the first public tweet, which read, "Just setting up my Twitter," but he spelled it TWTTR. And the rest is history, like they say.
Joe, I have never had my own personal Twitter account, not once. I think I might have snagged up the name, but I've never made a tweet other than when I owned a business, and I just attached it all through Instagram. Other than that, I've never been on Twitter.
I got one more thing for you.
Let's hear it.
Go Hogs!
Dude, Sweet 16. That is awesome, man. I know it busted your bracket, and it busted a lot of other people's brackets. But, I mean, for a team, we have really Coach Musselman. We call it the Muss Bus, but for the most part of this season, we've kind of been on the struggle bus trying to figure things out. But man, it doesn't really matter what you've done once the dance starts. And once that dance starts, as long as you survive and advance, there ain't nothing to worry about when it comes to the regular season. So we're still rocking and rolling. Sweet 16, UConn, Thursday night at 6:15. What a freaking weekend it was, man. It was wild. So thank you for that. It was, no, Tom, UConn, what, man? Woo Pig Suey. Hey, Joe, those were two good ones. But I think you sent me something else that we're going to start off this show with.
Yeah.
We got another
sponsor.
We got another sponsor.
They just find me out of nowhere. I'm not even searching for them, and they just pop in my DMs and they say, "Hey, can we be on your show as a sponsor?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Right?
Well, see, this one was kind of strange because at first when you sent this to me, I thought surely this can't be true because I kind of flip-flopped on this one, Joe. It's a tough one because I really don't know. I don't know where his emotions lie with the channel and this show in particular. I don't know if he's really fond or not fond of us. So the fact that we have him as a sponsor is really kind of cool and maybe a little bit promising and optimistic for me. Joe, tell us about this sponsor tonight.
Yeah, so tonight's sponsor is L Swiss Sneakers. It is the latest edition when it comes to lawn care sneakers. We all have those. We see the dad shoes out there with the New Balances, but this is the official shoe for grass turf care. It actually has grass, literal grass. This grass right here is actually from Lambeau Field. They stitched this on the side of the shoe. I've never seen anything like this before.
Lambeau
It's like
Field. What?
Lambeau Field. It's crazy. Aaron Rodgers himself actually touched this grass.
Oh, he might have gotten
And
some snot or some spit or something
it-
all over that grass,
something on
Joe.
it. Yeah. And this shoe is just unbelievable. Go check it out. The promo code for this week is HARP10. Get you 10% off. Go check it out. L Swiss sneakers. Awesome stuff, guys.
And Joe, you and I don't get a kickback or a cut of any
Nothing.
of
Nothing.
that promo code. Just to be clear, we want to be clear about that. And if there's one shoe that could take New Balance out of business, it's the L Swiss brand new limited edition. I think, Joe, New Balance doesn't want to get wind of this because they might be a little bit scared. Speaking of scared, Joe, man, I just love it when things kind of just start flowing together. It's the start of spring, right? Spring is officially here. But, there are a lot of folks out there as we approach this spring season. Your lawn care season is about to ramp up. You're going to be getting a lot of rain, right? And when it does dry out later in the summer, you're going to need some sprinklers. So we're really going to talk about sprinklers and watering today. But as we head into this but as we head into this spring season, Joe, and the severe weather season gets upon us, I want to make sure that folks are fully aware of what some of the weather terminology means when it comes to storms. Because if you remember, Joe, I was a weatherman at one time. I wasn't a meteorologist, but I was going to school for meteorology, but I was a weatherman. And when you think about some of the terms these meteorologists use, sometimes for the lay person at home watching, they might not really grasp what that meteorologist is trying to say on TV. So I'd seen this once before, but when my wife sent this to me, I was like, oh, bingo, that is perfect. I mean, could you get any better when trying to explain what the difference between a watch and a warning is? And not to mention, no one gets more excited about taco night than I do. But hey, there's my wife right there. Taco Tuesday, man, and it is Tuesday. We did not have tacos tonight. We had a lovely pasta dish, Joe. But when you're thinking about the difference between a watch and a warning, a watch is like saying, hey, look, we have all the ingredients here for taco night. We have everything we need to make tacos. Just like on a severe weather event, all the ingredients are there in the atmosphere that a potential tornado could form. We have everything in place for a severe weather outbreak or a tornado event. Now, if it escalates...
You get tornadoes out by you, right?
We do. Out west of us is really Tornado Alley through Oklahoma. And we've got the Boston Mountains and the Ozark Mountains in northwest Arkansas. So fortunately, as storms move east into Arkansas, sometimes the higher terrain could kind of disrupt all that. But last March, we did have a tornado went through our school district that my wife and I work in. And actually, school was canceled that day because it destroyed part of one of our elementary schools. But
that's crazy.
If it escalates to a warning, that's saying, hey, look, we got tacos. Tacos are made. You better come and eat. Let's go. It's time to eat. Where if you're talking about tornadoes, it's like, look, there could be a tornado on the ground now. Take shelter. Whether it's indicated on radar, whether it's indicated by a storm spotter. If you're under a warning, that ain't good, my friends. That ain't good at all. Now, I've never been in a tornado. I've seen funnel clouds above my head and all that kind of stuff. Fingers crossed that doesn't change this season, but we've already had some early bouts of severe weather this year because of how warm this spring has been. So let's hope that's not an indication of what could be coming ahead. What's y'all's weather been like, Joe? I know you sent me a picture of your lawn. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second. But what's your weather like been up in Jersey?
I got 2 points before we go to that. But it's been actually pretty nice tonight. It was hoodie weather, so it wasn't. I usually wear a North Face kind of jacket when it's really cold. And but yeah, it's getting up to about the 60s during the day, but then at night it drops down into like the 30s. So we're still not out of that. Like actually this morning there was frost on the ground. Um but yeah, I mean it's starting to warm up. It's just not there yet. I give it another probably 2 weeks and we'll probably be, it'll be pretty good. So, but the other point I have is what's your favorite taco? What's your go-to taco?
Dude, it's funny. Like, are you talking from a restaurant or are you talking about
Yeah,
just?
like so like where I used to work at in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is like it's considered the blueberry capital of the world. There's a lot of they get a lot of Mexicans that work the fields that pick the blueberries and things like that. So there's a lot of Mexican restaurants, a lot of food trucks. And my go-to taco was always the El Pastor taco, which is like a spicy pork taco with pineapple. It was so good.
Oh,
It
so
was so
you're
good.
talking about like fancy street
Yeah,
style
yeah,
tacos, street tacos.
yeah. Not no, not none of that Taco Bell stuff.
Now, here's the thing. If you give me just a ton of taco meat at home with some
Yeah,
traditional crunchy taco shells, hard taco shells with some shredded lettuce, fresh cut tomatoes, sour cream, and some hot sauce, man, I love just building them by myself at home. Now, if I'm going to go out and do the fancy things, a lot like what you just said. We have some street taco joints around here that do some taco specials on Tuesdays that you can go in and get just a little soft shelled corn
yeah, yeah,
tortillas. I
yeah.
mean, they're almost
Oh,
like one two bite done, one two bite
yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah.
are fun. But if I want to just keep it simple, just having a good taco spread at home, like we saw in that picture for the watch in the mornings, that's really kind of my favorite way to do it. And that's typically what my family has when we go to my parents' house for Christmas. We do it a couple days before Christmas, and we will have a big taco night for our
Mm,
Christmas celebration. Not nothing
nice.
traditional. It's just a big taco party.
I never heard of that before. I've always heard of up where I live at a lot of Italian, so there's the seven fishes,
Yeah.
the traditional thing. So yeah,
Well,
never heard of the taco night.
my mom does the big Thanksgiving, like the full blown traditional Thanksgiving. And with Thanksgiving just a few weeks before, about a month before we do the big Christmas celebration, it's like
Yeah,
everybody's already had the dressing and the ham and the turkey and mashed
yeah,
taters and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
we like to just do something a little bit different. Hey, let's look at your lawn, Joe.
yeah,
So you said it's been a little bit warm during the day. You're seeing some cooler nights. What are you
yeah.
seeing? What action you seeing going on in the
So
lawn?
I did my pre-scalp this weekend at my house.
What? A pre-scalp? Man, you are so far
uh,
ahead.
uh,
Where did you hear such a genius
uh,
tip? Where did you hear that, Joe?
from a very budget-friendly channel.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But
Okay.
anywho, yeah. So I actually got the mower out this weekend. I shot a short that I did like a double take of myself, sharpened the blade, and what do you know? The mower actually started on the first pull. No lie. It literally started on the first pull. I was like shocked. And like I told you like last week, I don't winterize my crap like people do. Like I just like let the gas run out and that's it. I'm good to go. And then I'll check the oil, make sure the oil level's good before I started it up. But one pull started right up, put the bag on, and I actually got a decent amount of clippings out of my yard, believe it or not. I almost got a full bag, and I haven't cut since probably after Halloween sometime last year.
And you haven't
So I was
fertilized or you
shocked.
haven't done anything
No,
yet. No
n-
fertilization. Did you get a pre-emergent down? I
no.
think we talked about that a
I
couple
got a
weeks ago.
I got pre-emergent down about a week and a half ago, I think, and that's it. I'm not doing anything probably until the first week of April.
You know,
So I was shocked.
every year that I've done lawn care, and you're starting to see this a lot in the videos. Uh, there's this maybe too much of a heightened eagerness to jump into the lawn season. And every single year around the official start of spring, the third week of March, it's almost like it exaggerates even more. It's like
Yeah,
just because it's spring, it's lawn care time. And I think that's fueled a lot of times by people who might be new to the hobby or just really worn out from not being able to do anything in the lawn over the winter season. But
Yeah.
golly, I've just learned that every single year that goes by, that it is just not even really close to the lawn care season beginning, even if it is the official start of spring. I know many of us got really, really, really spoiled by some warm weather there towards the first week or two of March, even into the third week, right before spring hit. But I don't know about y'all in some of the other places around the country, aside from Jersey, where Joe's at, and me here in Arkansas, but we got blasted with some cold this past week. I think one morning I woke up and it was like 18 degrees with a wind chill, around 10 with some ice on the ground. Not, I guess I should say like a frost. We didn't get a full blown freeze, but it was just bone chilling cold. And that's one reason why the video I made this past week, if you haven't seen it already, talks about timing, because timing really does matter. And I've seen more of these type videos, Joe, across YouTube lawn care space this year about people talking about timing, people talking about
Wish
don't
people could be
rushing
original.
it. Well, here's the thing. I did a video pretty similar to this last year, but in years past, it's been people doing nothing but saying, "Go time, it's go time, baby, yeah, it's go time, oh yeah, yeah, yeah," and that's starting to, we're seeing that you can't be saying that kind of stuff this early, because it's just not go time. I don't care what anyone says, it's not go time. So I'm seeing more of these videos
You're
like
just
this, so it's
wasting
kind of interesting.
yeah, you're just wasting product. I mean, you know, could I have thrown down fertilizer? Yeah, but it's still not warm enough. It's like I see some people throwing down Malargonite in some of these recent videos, and I'm just saying to myself, like, it's not even warm enough for Malargonite, let alone even throwing it down. Like I just the one thing I didn't do though yet this year that I probably won't do,
What's that?
soil test.
Oh, you're not. Joe, what did I say last week? I said, what was the saying that I used? I said, we'll do our best not to talk about soil test.
My boy Super TA, he messaged me on Instagram and he's using up his clearance Lowe's soil test. But I didn't bust his balls on that, but I let him go with that one.
Hey, Tom makes a good point, and I get it. They're all hype videos. Everybody wants to get a little hyped up and excited. It's just like, before basketball season starts or football season for the Hogs, all we're doing is watching like old replay
Yeah.
clips, like highlights from the year before. So there is some element of fun to that, but it is still time to wait. But before you know it, Joe, we will wait for a little bit longer, it will feel like. And then it will be what will you say, balls to the wall, like from 0 to 100, 0 to 1 million, and it'll
I
be
can't wait.
it. I can't
It's gonna,
either. This year, I'm actually pretty darn excited. Last year was a little rough getting into a new house, but there's a lot of new stuff to look forward to this year, so I can't wait. You have any big plans to mix this season up at all, Joe?
no, I mean just the one area in my backyard where there was pool work done. They had to dig a trench for what do you call it, drainage, and that's like my only really thing I got to tackle. I actually threw down seed like a couple weeks ago just to just kind of do like a little test. I know it's kind of dormant seeding in a way because it was still the ground still cold, and I just like roughed up the ground a little bit with this weasel that I have and just spread some seed out. So I'm just curious to see like how that kind of fills in, and I probably will have to add some more seed. So I kind of did like a little experiment with that. But yeah, other than that, really, I plan on just doing less this year. Is to be honest, is what I'm going to try and do less. Just keep cutting on a regular base. I usually try and do 2 times a week. Usually I do like Tuesdays and then like either like a Saturday or a Sunday, and that's it. I'm not going nuts because less is more in my book.
Oh, definitely. Hey, you and I were talking the other day, and somebody might have this project kind of in store for their season if they're really trying to up their game. Now, there are two camps on this, Joe. There's the camp I'm in, the camp that is like sick and twisted and loves to drag hoses around and manually water with sprinklers, and then there's the other camp that just is hell bent and can't go without an in-ground irrigation system. So maybe that's some folks big to do for this year, that they're going to quit dragging
Yeah.
hoses like me and they're going to add an irrigation system to their lawn. And Joe, you told me that you actually added yours yourself. So you're probably going to have a little bit
Yeah.
more knowledge about some of the gadgets and tools and tips that might help folks out when it comes to installing one if they're going to do it themselves.
Yeah. So obviously these are your three major sprinkler heads. You have the spray head at the top where it's kind of like a mist in a way. I really don't like those heads. And then you have your rotor down on the right hand side, which is, your traditional ones that you see a lot of, households have. You have rainbirds and your hunters mostly. If you get them at Home Depot or Lowe's, you're going to see those. And then the rotary at the bottom there, your rotary is my go-to. I've had both the rotor sprinklers. I had Rainbird ones that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's, and then I switched over to the rotary nozzle, and that's actually what I have right here. I have this right here. This is the MP rotator. This is the yellow one right here. Actually throws the furthest, and I just love these things. Like I did a video last year about these nozzles because you could see there it's more of a steady stream throughout. It's not a rotor where it's going to one side and then to the other. Now the only downfall to the MP rotators is the output of it. You have to obviously water longer than like a rotor would, because a rotor is going to be throwing out more water in the ground or water in the ground. So, um, but I just love the constant stream. I just feel like even though I might have to water a little bit longer, I'm getting a better even coverage across the board. And one of the testings that I did in my video was I got my blower and I'm blowing onto the actual water coming out of the nozzle, and it's amazing that stream just stays nice and it's still it's steady. I mean, it's just a really cool nozzle as opposed to the rotor sprinkler. And I don't know. I gave it. So what? I'm a nut
I
when it
was about
comes
to say
to
maybe it's
sprinklers.
maybe
I'm
it's
I
I'm the weird
I
one
should
because I
be
don't get all this stuff.
I should be called the sprinkler nut because so I put my sprinkler system in myself. It's not a conventional sprinkler system. Uh, I dug all the trenches myself. I got a spade, shovel, and I just went along and dug these trenches out. And lots of times I was digging these, I was digging these trenches at nighttime because I have kids and I didn't want to go out there when I first got home from work at 5 o'clock. So I'm out there with a headlamp on, digging these trenches, and I'm feeding not PVC, I'm feeding funny pipe, which is like real, like quarter-inch pipe. And I just felt more comfortable with the funny pipe because it's easier to just cut it, and then they sell the connectors, so it's real easy to fit them on. And but it works. I mean, my system works. The hardest part was going underneath the sidewalk to the curb line. Yeah,
Well, that's
there was a lot of cursing involved on that part.
well, that was the only question I was going to ask. Was does it work? I mean, that's really
Yeah,
all
oh,
that matters. Does it
it
work?
yeah, so the first year, and we'll get to it in a second, I had everything hooked up to a water timer. So we'll talk about the water timers here in a second. And then what I did was is I upgraded to a Ratio system last year, so it's all, Wi-Fi now. And what I did was is I made myself like a little manifold, and I'll have to I should have took a picture for tonight's stream, but I didn't. And I made this little manifold where I have actual sprinkler valves on there with the solenoids, and they're all wired up to the wireless sprinkler, the Ratio, and it works. I mean, it does the job. I've added heads here and there for coverage because I'm a nut when it came to it, because I wasn't happy with some of the coverage. So I did a really nice job overseeding the first year, and I'm like, I'm still not happy with the coverage. So I started digging even more. Yeah, so I got everything in place now, and I actually started the sprinkler system up about a week ago because there wasn't no rain in the forecast when I was doing my pre-emerge and I wanted to get watered in. So it actually started up real fine, no issues, no leaks. I was really surprised. And all the sprinkler heads were not, they were all working great. I didn't have to adjust anything. So if you want to save a little bit of money and do it yourself, dig some trenches.
It has been. We had rain today. We've got the forecast is saying somewhere around 3 to 4 inches coming on Thursday and into Friday. So Joe and I were kind of like, is sprinklers and hoses and this conversation even worth having right now in spring? And we kind of waffled back and forth on whether or not we would talk about this. But I told Joe, I said, once spring hits, I'm kind of one of those people. I don't have an in-ground irrigation system. It's where if I need new gadgets or new things from a hardware store that I like to shop at, it's the time that I'll go get it. So if you're looking at doing some of these things, like whether it be putting in an irrigation system on your own or going to get sprinklers or hoses or whatever it is, we thought, this is or timers, which we're going to talk about. This is a good time to talk about it because, everybody's going to be running out for this stuff. And Joe, here's how I am not the sprinkler nut like you are. I really, really enjoy getting up out of bed early in the morning as the sun is coming up and just it's so quiet outside and hearing that hose connect to the faucet outside and just dragging sprinklers around and I've got just two simple oscillating sprinklers. They're actually, I shouldn't say simple because they actually have quite a few different adjustment tabs on them where you can adjust the spray and the pressure and all that kind of stuff. And I put them on both sides of the yard, just slowly work my way in, and it can knock out my watering really pretty quickly for doing it manually, especially here at the new lawn, just because of the way it's shaped. But there's
Yeah.
something about just manually watering the lawn that I really enjoy. So it's cool that you're the guy that's really kind of geeks out over the sprinkler heads because for me, I couldn't care less. As long as it hooks up to a hose and spits out water, I'm typically okay with it. But tell us in the chat, folks. Tell us, are you on in-ground irrigation's side, or are you team manually water like I am? And hey, don't also, folks, please hit that thumbs up button for us
Yeah.
if you're already in the chat or watching the live stream. That does help out the stream a bunch. What's up, Rob? What is TA says? Hey guys, can you pause a minute? I have to pee.
Oh God.
We did go maybe Joe a little bit overboard with the thumbnail and the title, slippery when wet, and Kinky
Yeah.
hoses are the worst when watering your lawn. But because we're talking about watering, um, Joe, we're going to talk about timers, and then I want to talk about hoses. But the only timer I use, Joe, when I am watering my lawn is the alarm clock that gets me up to head outside and hook things up, and then I use a stopwatch to time my rotations. But the timers, from what I understand, you'll have to tell us from your experience, are like game changers, right?
Oh, big time. So my big time game changer was that top left hand corner one, the Melnor water timer. You can't go wrong with the Melnor. Uh, the bottom left one there is a Melnor, and that one you set to like if you want your sprinkler to come on for like an hour, 30 minutes, whatever. But it has like a sun, it's a dusk to dawn thing, so it'll come on when the sunset comes up. So depending on where that's located, it might not go on exactly when the sunset comes up because depending on where you have that in your yard. So I kind of always recommend people having the Melnor water timer up in the top left hand corner there. And that's what I have here. I actually brought it in. This one right here is 4 years old, and this thing still works great. I mean, I use this every year, and this is what I originally started out with was this for my irrigation. I had the funny pipe coming up and connecting to each of four of these. And but the thing I love about this timer is it has the four zones, obviously. but you can have this come on up to 4 times a day. So there's 4 cycles for each zone. So I always recommend people, if you're going to do an overseed, you got to keep the seed moist so it can germinate. And most water timers only come on either 1 time or 2 times. So if you can get something like this, go for it, because the other one that I have is that bottom right one is the Rainbird here. Now this one I use this for my drip irrigation system. It can come on 2 times a day, but it's only obviously it's only one outlet lit here, so it's only one hose. But I've had this now for probably 3 years, and the only thing you got to do is make sure there's batteries in the back, and the batteries they'll last the whole season. But these timers are really a lifesaver. And last year it saved me a lot because our pool was losing a lot of water. We had a lot of leaks in our pool, and now it's all fixed. But I was constantly filling it up. And I'm like, I'm not turning on the hose every day. So I just set a timer for it to come on like 10 or 15 minutes each day, which sounds nuts.
Genius, Joe.
And it just came on 10 to 15 minutes each day. And our water, my wife wasn't happy with the water bill, but we were able to use our pool until it got fixed at the end of the year. So yeah, I know I've been harping on it a lot, but if you don't have an in-ground irrigation system, get one of these timers, hook it up. You'll thank me a million times over.
I may have to break down at some point and do it, but me being a teacher, I'm at home during the summer when I'm watering.
Yeah.
So for me, I saw in the chat that someone said it's therapeutic just doing it with hoses. I would agree. Like I keep a stopwatch on and I'll get my zone set and I'll start my stopwatch and I'll come in and drink some coffee and then I'll go stand out on the porch and just watch the sprinklers and listen to the sprinklers and I'll go play with the kids for a little bit. It's just kind of turns into a little morning routine when I do it because I'll typically water probably about 2 days a week. It just depends on if we're getting any rainfall whatsoever. And Joe, there's a video that I did. Gosh, it's coming up on a few years ago now, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Have you heard of my diet acronym that I came up with, Joe?
I remember the video. I just can't remember the acronym, what it stood for. I know it
So
was good though.
Well, so I came up with this diet acronym. I try to
Yeah.
think of these kind of simple things that are going to help me remember, not just help me remember, but help folks that are new to lawn care remember some of the easy tips. And so this diet acronym, I came up with the word diet, DIET. Just those 4 letters can help you kind of dial in on your watering and make sure you're doing it the right way and not the wrong way. So the D stands for deep. Water your lawn deep. Don't water it with really shallow waterings. You want to water it deep. So putting a half an inch to an inch of water on it at a time. The I is for infrequent. So if you're putting a half an inch of water on it twice a week, you get your inch that you need for the week instead of just putting a very shallow, light layer of water on it many times a week. You want it to dry out just a little bit. That way, the water's not always readily available at the surface. You want those roots to have to kind of dig down for some moisture and some water. And if you're watering deep and infrequently, that will happen. If you're watering all the time and really shallow, that is not going to happen. The E stands for early. Water early in the morning if you can, or early in the evening if you can't do the morning. At least earlier in the evening, that will allow it to dry out a little bit before the sun goes down and you don't have too much water left on the grass blades overnight. And the T, Joe, someone just said in the chat that you're probably going to have to eat a lot of tuna. The tuna can test. Throw a tuna can out in the lawn. That's about an inch deep. If you can fill that thing up while you're watering or put half of that, fill that up halfway for about a half of an inch, then you'll have a better gauge on how much water you're actually throwing down. And one, you won't be wasting water. And two, it just makes the process a whole lot easier. I keep a tuna can with both of my hoses and both of my sprinklers, and I put them out in the lawn every single time I water. So just remember, deep, infrequently, early, and use a tuna can to measure your water. And I promise you'll water correctly every single time.
Deep and infrequent. I think a lot of us in the chat, a lot of guys in the chat can relate to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, hey, Doghouse Lawn Care, giving my hogs a shout out, dude. I'm telling you, hey, it's not off topic for us. I mean, we would love to sit here and talk sports a lot more because that's Joe and I've kind of found out that's pretty much just as important in our lives as probably lawn care is for us. So, big one the other night, even bigger one coming up against UConn on Thursday. Hey, Joe, speaking, one last little tip to hit on when it comes to watering. Uh, Everybody hates a hose that's kinky, right? You don't want to have a kinky hose that you're always sitting out there getting into a wrestling match on the lawn with.
Some people are into that kind of stuff.
Some people, not. So I actually use a brand of hoses called Never Kink hoses. And Joe, you sent me this video, and
Yes.
I want you to, before we play this video, I want you to set it up for folks. Tell us a little bit about what this product is if people are out there struggling with kinky hoses.
Yeah, so I reached out to Underhill. A lot of people know Underhill International. They're, for their mostly their more professional base, for professionals out there. And I reached out to them last year because I noticed they had a hose. It's like a, I don't know what color. It's like a tan hose, but they market it as a commercial hose. And I told them, hey, look, I think this would be great for a homeowner as well. And so they actually sent me out the hose, and they sent me out this twist ease, they call it. And it just goes onto the hose. It goes onto the end of the hose that the twisties goes on, and then your nozzle goes on. And a lot of times, if you don't have a retractable hose reel, or you have, you just laying it on the side of the house, it gets tangled. This thing, you just pull it, and as you pull it, the hose turns, and not so you hold the nozzle and the hose turns, and it kind of like untwists itself. And it actually works. Like this thing, I tested it a couple different times, different ways, and it really does work. So if you want to
So what you're telling me in this video, Joe, you're not like one of those infomercial guys. It's like really dramatically making it look difficult in one, and then it's a piece of cake in the other. It's the real deal, you say?
It's the real deal. Yeah, I mean, it works. I can't like it's some of these products that people you get sent from these companies, and they say they work, but this one actually worked. So kudos to Underhill.
Let's check this out here. So we'll play this one time through, and then Joe, we'll get your thoughts on what exactly we just watched.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
No, that wasn't March. It was like, I think it was May. It might have been. So on the left there is with the twisties, and it's just this little thing. You just clip it on the end of your hose there, and I mean, it really does work. And that nozzle there is their rainbow nozzle. That thing is badass. I mean, if you want a nozzle to put out a lot of water at once, and that thing is really that they sent me that as a bonus as well. If you're looking to get done watering quickly and fast, that nozzle is a great nozzle. It's the rainbow nozzle. It's the yellow one. Check it out if you're interested in getting one. They're really actually a lot of their stuff. You would think it'd be like really expensive. It's actually it's priced even pretty good for a homeowner, I would say. And check them out, Underhill International. I'm not sponsored by them. They only sent me the stuff. I got to meet them at GIE, and they were super nice. I might have one more hose I'm going to test out this year from them. I might hook it up to an actual above ground sprinkler from my backyard because I don't have irrigation back there. But yeah, that twisties. If you're looking, because like you know how it is, they sell those hoses that say they never kink. Let's be honest, they freaking kink. You know,
The never
uh,
kink, I've had them kink very, very seldom, but that is a good comment from Doghouse Lawn Care. People out there never even knew they needed a new hose until they have had a good one. And that's true because I've had some pretty crappy hoses, and it is a game changer when you're spending a fraction of your time out in the lawn just trying to unkink the thing so water will flow through it
well,
the way it's supposed to.
another thing is these retractable hoses. I mean, we're going to get a million of those videos this year from people, tugging on their hoses with the retractable hose reel. Those people, they just love tugging those hoses every year. And I just like they're half-inch hose size. Like I have two now. I have two retractable hose reels on both sides of my house. And the half-inch hose, it's the water pressure is just it's not as strong as a 3/4 inch
Mm-hmm.
hose. And I just everyone markets these hose reels as the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I mean, they are convenient, the retracting up part, but water pressure it's a big deal. I mean, if you don't have good water pressure, and honestly, the one thing about this house that I hate is our water pressure. We've had our water company come out. It's just something, I don't know what it is. Our water pressure is not the greatest in this house, and it never was. And it's a big deal. If you don't have good water pressure, it's going to take you longer, it's just, it sucks. It
Well,
really
even
sucks.
even in a new house, Joe, when I try to run both my sprinklers at once, which this summer I plan on doing a kind of my hose and sprinkler setup again. I've changed a few things, but even when I've got both of my oscillating sprinklers going at one time, you could tell a huge difference from one running by itself and then watch what happens to its stream when you turn the other one on. I mean, this is a brand new
Yeah.
house too. I even tell my wife when I'm about to go out and and water the lawn. Hey, look, don't do laundry, don't start the dishwasher, don't do anything else that's going to just like take that pressure down,
Yep.
because it will take my time to water the lawn way up because I'll have to move those around so much more to get overlap. I try to get them situated where I put them, I pick out spots where they're overlapping. So if I leave it here for 30 minutes, it's overlapping here for 30 minutes. So that section really got an hour, and it makes
Yeah.
it, I get the water I need, that half inch, really quickly if I've got full pressure and making sure I'm overlapping my two sprinklers that I'm running at one time. Hey, yeah, yeah, we get the coffee going. Don't worry about that. That's made first and foremost. Hey, Joe, I want to, you talked about Underhill. Um,
Yeah.
is that an American made product, Joe?
Yeah, actually they are. They are made in the USA. They're an international company. I've had nothing but good experience with them. Their sales rep that I work with, super nice, great company. Like I said, I met them at GIE. They were super nice to me as well, and they helped me. They recommended me for a couple other things to do, but we'll see. I'm kind of taking an ease back this year on working with companies. But yeah, American made. I know where you're going with this.
You know where I'm going, because last week,
Uh
if you didn't see last week's show,
oh
Joe,
man.
do you like the way I kind of like try to get things flowing into the next topic? I hope.
Yeah,
Um,
you get under my skin easily.
so last week, if you didn't see last week's show, in honor of March Madness, Joe put together our mowing madness, and we had a little bracket talking about different lawnmower companies, different equipment companies. So go check out last week's show. And again, folks, these shows are not intended to only be watched live. So we hope you'll support the show after the fact. Some of those live shows that are out there, look, they're like 3 or 4 hours. It's like, well, how can I sit down and even think about watching a 3 or 4 hour show? These are an hour long, and we hope that they're designed in a way that you'll go back and check them, even if you miss them live. But last week we did a mowing madness bracket. Joe put that together, and Joe got on one of his
Rants.
CO2 emission rants and sent me this past week, and it really is kind of interesting. Joe, so maybe what this chart is saying is that some of what you've said is is true?
Yeah. So this chart right here is CO2 emissions by year, and I went back to 1960. You can go back even further, but I went back to 1960. This comes right from the web. It's a pretty accurate website, and as you can see there, China. I eh, I mean, it just drives me nuts. Like, I understand we want to do better with the environment. We want to go to this, so-called called green energy and this battery movement that's in the whole lawn care space right now. And I mean, you could just see here, China. Their emissions just keep on going up. No big deal. They're the most populated. I believe they're the most populated freaking country in the world. And we get. I mean, I've so if you guys don't know, I've been doing a lot of research lately on lasers that engrave like wood and acrylic and things like that. And I'm trying to find an American-made laser company that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. And what do you know? I cannot. Everything. I mean, everything comes from China, and it just drives me nuts that we don't do anything about it. Our I know we don't want to get political on our show, but it's amazing how much politics plays into this stuff. And I just wish some people, if I can open somebody's mind up to like just think a little bit differently where things come from and how they're made, that's great. And I've done that. We've done that ourselves in our household. We actually got solar panels on our house. We've had them on our house now for I think 3 years now. This summer will be 3 years. And we searched. We wanted an American made company, an American made solar panel company. And what do you know? We had to spend a little bit extra, but we got American made solar panels put on our roof from an American obviously company. It just blows my mind. It gets under my skin so much when we keep talking about this battery movement and just the renewable energy aspect of it when we're not even thinking about where these solar panels are going to be made or where they're going to come from. And I could go on all night about it. And I just wish our government would wake up sometimes and and change their mentality. But it's hard. I know it's hard. It's hard to everything comes down to money and profit when it a lot of times when it comes down to it. And it just sucks. It just sucks. And you can see from that graph, I don't want to hear this battery movement. I'm tired of hearing about it anymore, and I'm sick of it. So that's my hot take for this week.
There's Joe's hot take for the week. Hey, Joe, you had a take last week, okay? And I ain't gonna lie, like, I really didn't know where you were going with this one, but your take last week was very well received when it came to the English pitch talk. Like, I think folks really ate up the pitch talk last week. And call me crazy, but I didn't know that a sports field in England was called a pitch. So I learned something new last week. Apparently, I'm like one of the
soccer field.
yeah, soccer field. Yeah, I guess so. Or football. Is it a football field?
Football, yeah, football field. Yeah.
So people,
Which is another thing. We call football in America football when we only kick it, not even, what, barely, like maybe 2% of the game. I mean, hey, I love football. I love American football, but I still don't understand why we call it football. But
well, if people seem to be
it
really,
should be called handball or throw ball or something.
People were really loving that, and you sent me this other video this week. And I ain't gonna lie, like I think we need to show this because it kind of piggybacks on last week's with the transformation of that field from a soccer
Tottenham.
field to the Atlanta Falcons when NFL was over there. But
Yeah.
Joe sent this other video this week. Joe, let's just cut over to this and let's let this one play because it really was pretty cool how they do this.
It's amazing.
So going through the things that grass needs, it needs light because it sits in sunlight, obviously.
So we have the LED lights in the ceiling. That basically maintains the photosynthetic activity within the plant during storage, but LED lights are slightly different light, so it doesn't stimulate too much growth.
So if you guys don't know, this is Tottenham Stadium. This is in North London.
We've got some autonomous robot mowers.
So its needs can be met. It can be kept alive.
Their field actually moves, so they can.
So going through the things that grass needs, it needs light because it sits in sunlight, obviously.
So we have the LED lights in the ceiling.
And they reel the turf under the stadium, and they as you can see there, they have these lights, these grow lights that actually stimulate growth. And then they have these, so the grass isn't dying when it's underneath the stadium. And then they have these robot mowers that mow the turf. I mean, it's just they thought of everything when it came to making this stadium and how they're using the grass and be able to take the grass out. I mean, that is just it's really cool. It's really cool.
So how long before one of these Uber lawn care nuts out there install something like this in their backyard?
Pretty soon.
So we have the LED light.
Go ahead.
No, I just think it's so cool. I could see somebody doing that.
No, it's super cool. I mean, I don't keep up with English soccer. I don't keep up with any of this kind of stuff. So even for me, I mean, it's a little far out there for me, but nonetheless, it's still pretty freaking awesome to see how they can manage this kind of created environment to give turf everything it needs and not be outside in Mother Nature. Because, in this lawn world, we're always talking about how Mother Nature ultimately calls the shots. Well, not really here. I mean, they're in complete control of every aspect of having the most amazing turf as possible for their stadium.
Yeah.
And Joe, we talked about another one last week. Now this other video you sent me has to do with what did you call that? How did you explain that last week?
I called it. It's like a giant sewing machine in a way. So I was explaining last week was a lot of the English teams and the different stadiums over in England. It's very overcast over there. If you ever, I've been over there, we talked about, I went on a trip to London a few years ago, and it's just, not a ton of sunlight, and they play now through pretty much the winter time over there. That's the big time of the year for soccer or football. And this machine here, what this machine does is, and you can see they use it at all these stadiums. Manchester City, that's a big one. Aston Villa is a big Premier League team. Newcastle, my other team. So this machine, what it does is it has these fibers, and it's almost like a big reel of fiber or artificial grass. And this machine, it just punctures the ground, and it threads the grass, this fake grass, into the ground. And then what they do is they throw seed on top of that, and then the actual real grass seed mixes in with the artificial grass, and it combines all together, and it's really cool. And this is the machine that I was talking about that they use, one of the machines that they kind of use over there, and it's pretty awesome. I think it's just so cool that's how they do it.
I mean, it's what is, I think, most interesting to me is I'm kind of a simplistic guy. I take a lot of heat here on YouTube sometimes because I don't take advantage of all the things that are out there for me to better my lawn, whether it be now the new robot lawnmowers, which, by the way, I've gotten probably 3 different offers from 3 different companies to take a robot lawnmower to test, and I am not going to do it. I know that's probably the most idiotic thing to some people, but I'm just simplistic. I don't care to use a plant growth regulator. I don't care to use all this other technology out there that could help me have the most amazing lawn ever. It doesn't mean, though, that I don't appreciate or don't respect how cool this kind of stuff is. I mean, the robot lawnmowers are freaking cool. There's so much cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you saw a lot of really cool stuff when you went to Equip last year. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called now? It used to be GIE.
Yeah, Equip Expo. Yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff there. Yeah, there was.
but when it comes to and I'm this way in a lot of different things, a lot of aspects of my life, I just the old KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. Yes, I could get this and I could get that to make things easier and blah blah blah. Maybe it'll save me time, but I just I kind of like the old fashioned way when it comes to things, and in doing a lot more with a lot little, or a lot less maybe. Because nowadays there's some elements of lawn care that um, that it's kind of taking a lot of it away from people, and
Yeah.
and for the people that overextend themselves and have a lot of other things going on, and maybe they can't keep up with the rat race, that's probably great. But for me, I have carved out time in my life because I need that lawn care time. Like, I don't want to, just because I'm not saving all the time I could in it doesn't mean that I'm doing wrong, if it makes sense what I'm saying. But the technology, it's super cool. I mean, it is super cool. So
it is.
it's interesting that you bring those things up, because I can only imagine where some of this technology is going over the next, oh gosh, how many years? I mean, I wonder now, are we going to have traditional lawn care services the way we see them now? Are these companies going to be out just tracking their automation and making sure their robots are moving at all times, and you get rid of a bunch of jobs that way? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I mean, I still can't see. I think we're still a far ways away from that, where lawn care companies are putting robot mowers out in people's yards and maintaining them. I think there's just too much of, too much, things that could happen, kids breaking them or people stealing them or whatever. I just think we're too far from that. I think we're going to still have lawn care services for a long time. So I think some of this stuff is cool. I think some of the stuff is great. I still think gas power is the way to go. I mean, just from my graph, again, I don't want to get ticked off again, but um, you know, don't get me wrong. There was stuff at GIE or Equip Expo that I saw that was like, wow. But I mean, a lot of this stuff is for commercial people. And I talked about that. Well, we could talk about that another time. But I think we should finish up with I know we didn't talk about sports tonight, but I think we should. I think we have about like a little over 5 minutes left.
We've got about 2.5, Joe. You sure you want to do that tonight, or do you want to wait till next week? We're still in the full throes of March Madness next week, because we'll be through the Elite Eight by next week. We'll be on to the Final Four. I'll let you make the call. I don't want to rush it.
Yeah. I thought we were going to go to 10:05.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour at 2 minutes and 50 seconds right now.
Oh shit! All right, let's save it.
Let's see on my live stream.
We'll save it for next week. I think I just think I got the guy's head or the guy's voice stuck in my head, and
well, that's why I don't want to. That's why I don't want to mess this one up. I want us to go.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about the HOGS.
Yes,
in the Final Four next week.
We better be, and that'll be even better because
pull up your pants, man.
So I want to say one last thing about what Joe was saying there. Like, sometimes, Joe, I think I'm too young for some of my philosophies, because if I could, I always imagine that I would grow up and walk to the end of the driveway to pick up the newspaper and wave to my neighbor as the neighbor was coming out to grab theirs as well. But, just like in lawn care, you see all this technology and automation. Like, I feel like we're at a point with some stuff where it's just the law of diminishing returns. Like, how much technology and automation is right and how much is too much. Because, I mean, I'm a 2-time journalism graduate with a master's and an undergrad in journalism, and spent some time in that business. And golly, with the amount of communication and information we have out there, it ain't good for me, and I can't imagine it's good for lots of other people out there. That's why I try to dumb a lot of things down, whether it be from my news consumption to my lawn care habits. So that's kind of where I'll leave my final thoughts on this show. Looks like some folks are hopping off. We want to say thank you to all of them. Joe, what are your final thoughts to wrap up this Tuesday, March 21st?
Yeah, don't be afraid to, get a head start. We brought up the sprinklers today. If it's warm enough in your area, make sure the stuff works. I mean, I hate seeing people, get, stuck, with something broken or something wrong in their lawn, and then they have a bad first start of the season. But
just be ready.
Go be ready. We'll be here before we know it, and hopefully everybody has a good rest of their week.
Hey, thanks again for that 17 Super TA, 17 likes. If you haven't hit that like button yet, do that. Again, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Central, the Budget Wooder Show. Thank you so much for all of y'all joining us. And hey, for all the ones out there saying, go Hogs with me, appreciate that. Woo, pig, suey, see you next time.